So I want to demonstrate to you how to complete the Unit 2 CR VARK activity. Remember, so if you go to today's class plan, you'll see the quiz in your class plan due at 4:30 today. So I'm in the quiz, and there's some information to begin with. The VARK questionnaire is an online survey that will describe your learning preferences. You can use your preferences for learning information to become a better student and employee. Gives you some more examples. Here are the different learning preferences: visual, oral, read-write, kinesthetic, and then multimodal. Multimodal means any multiple modes described above. So you might be just visual, you might be visual and oral, you could be visual, oral, and read-write, you could be oral and read-write, so on and so forth, so any combination of. So these are the descriptions of the different learning preferences, and then here are the instructions. Open the following link, and you see right here is the link as it highlights when I hover over top of it, and it says either double click or right click and then open in a new tab. So I'm going to right click, open in a new tab, and you see the VARK survey is opening right up here. Now I'm going to reduce the size of my screen by clicking up here, and I'm going to pull the quiz over to the side. I'm going to open up the VARK questionnaire, and I'm going to keep it open on this side. Now you see that I've got both of them open, and I can view them both at the very same time. Let me show you that one more time. So I've taken my screen and I'm pulling the quiz over to one side, and I am looking at the VARK survey over here on the other side, and again I can make that the entire screen, or I can reduce the size up here. So first I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the survey about how do I learn best. Choose one answer which explains your preference and click the box next to it. Please click more than one. If a single answer does not match your perception, leave blank any questions that does not apply. So here are all of my options. So for instance, I like websites that are interesting written descriptions, lists, and explanations. Audio channels does not appeal to me. Things that I can shift on or click on or shift or try. Interesting designs and visual features. I like them both, so I'm going to include them both. Again, you can click on as many that apply or as few as apply. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video and complete my survey and be back with you in a minute. So I've completed answering all of the questions, and you notice again that there are several that have multiple answers, several that have just one answer. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And here are my VARK results. My scores were visual 12, oral 10, read-write 4, and kinesthetic 15. So down here it says that I have a multimodal learning preference of VAK. Visual, oral, and the strongest being kinesthetic. Use the following pages for study strategies that apply to your learning preferences. So here are my different strategies that I learned best, and I'm going to click on kinesthetic because that's my strongest. Notice the number 15 is associated with it. So I'm going to click on kinesthetic. And now it's going to show me keywords that are important to a kinesthetic learner. So senses, practical experiences, examples, cases, trial and error. Here's a description of a kinesthetic learner. This preference uses your experiences and the things that are real, even when they are shown in pictures and on screens. Now, here is how I take in information the best as a kinesthetic learner. This is how I learn the best. Using all of my senses, doing labs and experiments, going on field trips and tours, giving examples, listening to lectures who give real life examples and experiences, actually doing and applying what I'm learning, using hands-on approaches, trial and error, with collections, physical things, exhibits, and recipes. So these are how I learn the best. This is how I take in information the best. Now, this is how I would study the best. And they call it SWOT, studying without tears. And to study the most effectively as a kinesthetic learner, here's how I learn. How I study. I use lecture notes. Even though they might be poor, I would try to make them as relevant or concrete as possible. I will have to remember real life things that happen, so I will try to make them applicable to my real life experiences. I will summarize and examples. I will talk about it with another person. Pictures and photographs will help me. Going back to the lab and doing my experiments. And then, like I said, making things real life through experiments and field trips. This is how I would study as a kinesthetic learner. Now, here's how I will show what I know during tests, quizzes, so on and so forth. So this is how I will demonstrate output, how I'll perform well on a test. I will write practice answers and paragraphs. So I will take my notes and I will write them out ahead of time, again, making them trying to answer questions that I believe will be on a test. And role-playing is another great way to describe what I know. That's for a kinesthetic learner. Now, if I go back up top, I can also look at being a visual learner and what that means to me. So I will click on visual strategies because that's my next highest. And again, here's all the key words, the description, how I learn information, how I study without tears, and then how I demonstrate what I've learned. So now I'm going to come back over here to the quiz. Remember, we opened that earlier. Number 1, according to my VARK survey results, my learning preference is, and in my case, my strongest was kinesthetic, although it described me as a multimodal, but I'm going to say kinesthetic. Remember to save. What is your number 1 occupation group? Now that goes back to your Career Vision Survey 1 and the occupation group. So mine was education, training, and library. That was my number 1 occupation group. And again, that's from Career Vision Survey 1. Open the results from your VARK strategies. And the next question is the keywords that relate to my learning preferences are. So again, remember that I was strongest as a kinesthetic learner. So I'm going to go back here to kinesthetic. And it says the keywords. And here it says keywords. And here are my keywords. You can either type those in or you can copy and paste. Make sure that you read them, however, so that you understand the keywords that apply to you as a learner. Remember to save. Next, what does this preference mean? So the description of you as a kinesthetic learner. Here it is, right here. Again, you can either type that in or copy and paste. Make sure you understand what the description of a kinesthetic learner is. Intake. How do you like to gain or learn information? Again, here's intake. So it's all right there answers. Again, you can choose those that you like that are most applicable to you and type those in, or you can highlight, copy, and paste. Again, make sure you've read those over and understand what they mean. Number 6. How do you study effectively as a kinesthetic learner? Here it is right here. Number 7, output. How can you use your learning preferences in school to show what you learned? And here's output. Again, copy and paste. or type them in. Make sure that you understand what that means. Next, use the school-wide writing rubric to help formulate your writing for the following question. Here is the rubric. It's all in there. Going back to the quiz, I'm going to pull my rubric over here so I can take a look at it while I'm writing. Do you agree with your results, or do your results surprise you? Make sure you address that question. Explain why. Provide an example of how you use your learning preferences in school or at work. Be sure to use the school-wide rubric to help answer these questions. Use full thoughts and sentences, correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Write your answer here. So that's how you complete the Unit 2 CR VARK activity preview. Let me know if you have any questions by emailing me, and good luck.